Live soon. Come on. And we're live. Hey, everybody. Okay, let me just get situated here. I have my great friend Seth here with me today. I'm just gonna let him introduce himself because he's gonna be able to explain best his business and everything like that. But thank you, Seth, for being on. But plug away.
Yeah, I'm always bad with the plugs, but it's really great to be here. I'm looking forward to talking about the book I wrote, The Merlin Advantage, Rediscovering the Leader's Greatest Ally. That sort of centers my work over the last several years as a management consultant, as a coach, as somebody very interested in organizational development, and really with the end in mind of increasing human flourishing, helping people do what I call the human-centric work, to really realize all those things that we hear talked about so much: engagement, culture, psychological safety, creativity, loyalty, you name all the great words. My goal is to bring people kind of a new way of doing that, by going back to some very ancient, very fun kind of archetypes, and um, tying that to the neuroscience and things that are very relevant, very contemporary, and they make a real difference in what I call the traction that people get. We can bring these leadership development, these organizational development programs into place, but to really make them stick, to really make them have the traction and drive the metrics we want on culture, uh, there's some things I think people need to be doing different. So that's what I'm all about.
And with the whole, and so everyone knows, like, we met through an amazing mastermind group. We are
Yeah.
still in to this day. We just left it.
Yep.
And I've learned so much about Seth. And today we're going to talk about the fact that, like, I'm INTJ, he's an INFJ, right?
Right. Right.
And he brings the good feels in the way that people like me not don't necessarily see. But me and him are very much on the same page about culture. We understand how important it is, leadership, and we're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Awesome.
I have our handy dandy bullets here, and now that you've done your intro, we want to talk about how not all culture workers are equally gifted. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a core theme in my book, that we need the right people doing this kind of culture work. And so often in an organization, um, these human-centric functions, delivering coaching, delivering training, doing the team building, they're still delivered by folks that have that, what I call performance leadership, kind of construct driving them. They are performance leaders. They're the type A, ambitious, killers, that get the job done. They're results oriented, and you can tie in some personality theory to that, and we can talk about why they are that way, how we want to describe them. But there are those folks, and they come in lacking a bit in the ability to lead with empathy, to
Mm-hmm.
listen in a very engaged way, to create that warmth and interpersonal connection that's so powerful to actually, again, getting traction on a lot of the things we wish were happening in workplaces. And sometimes, people are like, how are they not? We're bringing in all the right things. And that's the key piece I'm saying, is you got to have these magic workers, these Merlins, maybe not doing magic tricks, maybe not turning people into animals or something, but really diving into that innate capacity they have to connect with people, at the frequency level, at the verbal, nonverbal, all those subtle, nuanced things that people struggle to understand. It's very hard to quantify, but you get those people in the room. And my experience leading up to writing the book was watching some disastrous culture moments and then saying, can I talk to him for 5 minutes or 2 minutes? And things just changed. And I was like, well, I certainly don't know more than these performance leaders. Like, I'm the least, likely to drive the huge profit for this quarter or have the next breakthrough business strategy or tech innovation. That's not me.
Right.
But these things where people are struggling, or there's communication issues, or there's leaning out and disengagement, I found I was solving that very quickly, and that I wasn't alone. in having that capacity. So my book is a little bit of tribute to all the Merlins out there, all the people that can do this empath, discerning, culture work out there. So yeah, right people doing the right job. That's a big theme.
And, you know, as you brought that up with like the performance-based leadership, you know, a lot of people, like you said, they can do all the numbers and the sales and this, that, and they're fantastic at it. But then they treat people like crap, or they're poor communicating feedback in various forms. And people like you, Merlins, other people that are just innately more empathetic and can see things from a different vantage point, and that might have to do with our some part of our INTJ FJ situation, but we see things from a different perspective. That like, yeah, we got to focus on these numbers, but we're not going to get there unless we fix XYZ related to peopling.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and I think you make a couple of good points there. One is, it's not just the feeling empathy side. It's that plus this other way of seeing deeply, you know, perhaps connected to what people might say is introverted intuition, you know, which both INTJs and INFJs have. But, you know, whatever Enneagram, whatever way people want to come at this, everybody knows it's true. And sometimes we don't really want to go there. But the truth is, people are good at different things. Yes. And what people can bring day after day, sustainably with high results, that differs. You know, I can cross train. I can dabble in a lot of those business functions. I have an MBA, so I get it. But that's not my sweet spot. My sweet spot emanates from the empathy, from the intuition, from the, you know, the foresight, you know, that comes with that. And I bring that into those culture, human system conversations in a way that, you know, not only me, but others who do this kind of what I call integral process leadership. That's the gift. That's the contribution. And, you know, to the other point, there's a lot of performance leaders who are toxic, psycho, immature. But there are several that are amazing people. They love their people. They take great care of their people. In fact, most of the performance leaders I work with are those folks.
Oh, good.
They are awesome. And I love working with them, and kind of secretly sometimes wish I could work for them.
Right.
And they still realize the need for my partnership to go a little slower, to take things with their people and with conflicts and with complexity a little different than they do. And sometimes they'll be like, just do some of the Merlin stuff and let me know how it goes. Let's try to get this thing unstuck or unfrozen or jammed. And that's the work I do for them.
And that's a good segue, as we said earlier, segue.
Oh, there's one. Yeah.
Which is always good stuff. Thank you, William. We've got some other comments.
William's awesome. Yep.
Margot, hi, Margot. ENTP. I can't wait to hear about it. Yes. Can you show them the book real quick? I have it somewhere in a backpack that I always bring with me. So.
Yes, here. That's what it looks. Where's my camera? That's what it looks like if you get it.
I need to put in the link to that in here so that people can go buy it.
Yeah, please check it out. You know, it's certainly obviously wrapped in a lot of fun. We talk Mary Poppins and Gandalf and Yodas and all that stuff, fun. But again, it's wrapped around the neuroscience. It's wrapped around some hard truths about our systems, and also some really liberating truths of like, that kind of, you know, people are like, that kind of makes a lot of sense. I get it.
Gosh, I will have in the comments, y'all. Don't even worry about it. I guess I can't comment in these comments. I can only read them. But if you go on Amazon, The Merlin Advantage, it'll be there. It is a fantastic book. And I love how you took, what are they called? Protagonists? Is that what these main characters are called? You took that and it made it, a little bit fun. Obviously, it's not it's like not like reading every other business book where it's just like, you made it fun. So it's easier to digest.
Yeah. Well, that was the hope. And that's, just maybe it's my INFJ ways. That's kind of how I come at everything. I see a story, I see characters I care about, and the systems that have desks and copy machines and walls and windows and parking lots. I'm still seeing castles and characters and stories and narrative behind all of it. And so my goal was to kind of unveil that, have some fun with it, but also cut through to some issues that sometimes in our society we've seen cause a lot of pain. Layoffs, conflict at work, you know, office politics, all those kind of things that you tackle as work culture consultant. You're hitting them all the time. So I think we share a passion for
Yes.
detoxifying that a little bit, saving people some misery on that.
Right. And that's what, I love it. We're totally on the same page. Krista, thank you for checking that out. She definitely hooked us up here. She put the link for your book in the comments.
Yeah.
But thank you, Boo. Krista is absolutely fantastic. She is a recruiter, and y'all definitely go check her out as well. She's very people centric. She's one of the good ones, so y'all check her out too. But yeah, your book is fantastic, I think, and that's why I take it with me on trips and stuff, because I like to like go back in there and like remind myself of good stuff. So another one thing was the day-to-day, not just in crisis, Merlins, and everyone just coming on, Merlins are, what would you say Merlins are? So I guess we'll have something to say every time.
Well, very much. I mean, like you might imagine from the stories, minus the special effects, you know, minus the story mechanisms of magic. These are people who are allies to leaders. If you go into those stories, they come alongside leaders to bring a long-term ethical perspective, to bring some human restraint, sometimes balance to the goals of a leader. You know, those performance metrics, those KPIs that can really take hold and animate everything. There's the Merlin that comes in and says, let's look at this a little bit differently, perhaps slowing down sometimes. And sometimes, once in a while, I've found myself encouraging people to speed up on something, but to take a very different brain look at a problem. The leaders that I work with that are strong performance leaders, their world alone, imbalanced, not so good. And a world with only Merlins and only my kind of brain doesn't really go anywhere. And so it's that collaborative, I always talk about collaborative leadership dyads. That's the fancy way to say these King Arthur Merlin combinations that somehow balance things out and help us get through. Not that it's always easy. There's lots of bumps and bruises along the way, but somehow we just thread that needle a little better when we're working closely like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many, and in order for Merlins to be effective, we have to have leaders who are not based off ego, because they have to understand that there's a skill set that they may not have, or that they may it behoove them to have someone like us on their side to focus on the things that they're not necessarily focused on.
That's right. And we really are, you know, Merlins, you know, IPLs, as I call them, integral process leaders, are on their side. We're not trying to take their spot as CEO or see whatever. That's not the goal. It's really in every way to keep them there, to keep them at their best, you know, the cliche, the best version of yourself as a leader. Yeah, we're invested in that. That's our job.
Right. And, you know, that bullet point was like, they need us not only in crisis, it's the day-to-day. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, no, that's huge. Good reminder. And it's a good reminder for me to every day that this integral process leadership approach is involved with the day-to-day operations, that it's not just coming in when things derail, but it's preventative maintenance.
Yes. I love preventive maintenance. Being a prior jet engine mechanic, like, we are always about preventive maintenance instead of, you know, shit breaking when we're really in need of a jet.
Right.
We're fixing things and taking parts off that have life-limiting, not just parts, but mindsets.
Yes.
You know, there's segues there, whether it be, you know, Merlin, Gandalf things, aircraft, whatever. Things really still all come down to peopling.
Yeah. And preventative maintenance and early intervention is so, I mean, think in medical terms, how much nicer it is to catch something early and have just the slightest, you know, one of the principles of integral process leadership is least amount of intervention necessary. We just want to give a nudge. We just want to give an opportunity for somebody to be heard early before they're screaming or jumping up and down or doing all kinds of behaviors to be heard later.
Right.
IPLs are very good at coming in and saying, we'll hear you right now. It's okay to have this difficult conversation. In fact, we can teach model coach how to have these. and make it not so scary to be really part of the daily milieu. The daily experience at work is always just adjusting so that there's less. I mean, sometimes there's some major crisis, but we try to keep that at the absolute minimum. And it's really possible when you're being proactive about it.
Absolutely. And that's where executives and business owners and everything, I'm just going to call the baby ugly. Y'all need people like us to prevent issues in the future, because you need to have a certain type of toolbox and things in there to prevent your culture issues going forward. And a lot of people don't have time to do what they know is important. So it's not like you have a bad culture. You care about your culture. You just want to continue having the good culture that you have. But there's levels to that ish, as I always say, and you can't just let things fall to the wayside.
That's right.
Having a Merlin in place will help prevent issues. And like we're talking the whole crisis thing. There's something, thought process bubble, come back.
Okay.
Oh yeah, with the medical thing. So that was a great correlation there, because if we feed our bodies good things and we take care of our bodies, at the end of the day, most likely we won't have too many bad things. But sometimes crisis will happen. Sometimes disease is going to happen because of genetics, whatever. But we can do a whole hell of a lot to prevent things from happening if we start with a healthy body, a healthy foundation culture. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down here?
That's stuff. Yeah. Well, and the unique thing I think about thinking in terms of these special allies, these magical enchanted allies that might be like Merlins in some of our stories, but are playing that integral process leadership role. The psychology of personality, the things that make us different, mean that those who are kind of oriented toward doing IPL work well, they can pick up something far sooner than other types can, especially in that interpersonal work. It's just, it's like an animal that can smell something, 5 minutes before all the people pick up on it. There is that capacity. And then on the flip side, with many of my performance leader colleagues, they see the business strategy, they see the next move, they see the next tactic, minutes, days, weeks, months, years ahead of when I see it. But on the culture stuff, on some of this other stuff, I'm the one who can say, hold on, there's something we should check into here.
Right.
And that's a powerful collab right there.
Yeah. So you are a lot more versed in the MBTI space. Shout out to Joe.
Get Joe in here.
Your MBTI consultant. But when it comes to introverted intuition, would you say that's something that's our skill set that sees that? I mean, I'm just asking because I don't know, but.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, I think Joe or others could do a better job with this, but as I've come to understand it in myself, it really is it's really part of seeing patterns emerge and being able to pick up on those and see kind of where they're going. It allows sort of what is a prophetic capacity. And people get weirded out by that word. But one of the things that I put in my book that struck me early on is Carl Jung saying, without introverted intuition, there would be no prophets in Israel. And he's talking biblical, kind of that Christian Old Testament thing where the prophets were seen writing some things down that then would play out. Oh, what's this magic? Well, some of the magic, from a Jungian perspective is that introverted intuition that has a special capacity for pattern recognition and sort of a mental simulation of kind of where this thing's headed. And that's a powerful capacity. And it has a lot to, when you tie it with the empathic pieces and the feeling pieces, has a lot to do with seeing where interpersonal systems are headed, where interpersonal conflicts are headed,
right?
Where people's leaning out or certain behaviors and signals, where's that really headed? For them and for the system. What's that do, in a complex way when a butterfly flaps its wings and it affects other things and other things and other things. Introverted intuition helps us sort of be like, I see how this is affecting everything and where this is headed.
I love that. And this is why, obviously, me and you are big MBTI fans. There's a lot more to the science behind it. If y'all are ever interested, definitely read into it or call Joe. But right. I do got some comments in here. Lego. Hi, Nick. And then we get Krista here. I need to focus on preventative, not just fixing the emergencies. Yeah, and then Band-Aid fixes too. That just slapping a Band-Aid on a artery that's blowing up, or whatever, is not going to fix the problem. You just being like, pizza party, it's gonna fix the culture. It's stop
Right.
it right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like, you need bigger fixes to your problem. And again, it's not a risk, it's an investment into your business and your people. A lot of people might think, oh, it could be a risk. What if this doesn't work? What if it does?
Right.
It's probably going to, I bet your ass. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on that.
It seems to work, and it does feel new. I've talked with some folks sometimes about imagining the days, I don't know when this happened, in the 80s or 90s, but we started to have a position called like IT director or something, before that, nobody had spoken of a position like that. But we're so used to it now. We have entire org structures built around the IT side, the cybersecurity, internet services for everybody. And that's just normal now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll get to the place where having folks that, have this particular gifting, along with real formal, credible training and experience, of course, with that, that'll be natural. It won't be, maybe it's seen as a cost or something, but it'll be one of those costs that drives value, that protects the organization from much more expensive problems, daily headaches, from the smallest interpersonal, foible to full organizational derailment. This is what makes the difference. It's not programs, it's not initiatives, it's not technology. It's the real magic. It's what's happening in between the bricks, I say sometimes. And that's what Merlins do. That's what integral process leaders do every day.
Right. And so how can they, and we'll talk about that more at the end, but find your IPL, situation? I don't know, what are we going to call it? Program, really, right?
Yeah.
The IPL program. How do they?
Yeah, I mean, people can certainly read the book, kind of play with the concept, imagine it. Like, what if I had these gifted allies? It's not just Seth, but others. What if I had that in my organization? So do the imagination, read the book. You can visit my website, www.selliottconsulting.com. There's 2 L's and 2 T's in that. And that'll take you can look around. There's free resources. There's links to deeper information. There's description of services and the things people can consider as, one, am I one of them? Do I want to get IPL training? 2, do I need IPLs in my organization? How do I get them? How do I find them? How do I build that in? Or can I just talk to Seth about something? Yes, you can do that too. So
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yep, with the www. But yeah.
So yeah, that's where y'all go for that, because I know obviously you're building up a huge, certification process to be a Merlin. So y'all need to, follow Seth, follow him on LinkedIn, and his content is always great as well. And see when that rolls out, because you don't want to miss it,
Thank you. Well, it takes one to know one. I mean, we're sort of spirit animals in this work we do, and colleagues. So
I love it. And then we were going to talk about ways to build up culture, some value add stuff for our viewers. And then, oh, hi Tracy, thank you. And she was just on last show. Y'all need to check her out as well.
Yes.
Yeah, let's just spitball some easy ways to help build up a culture, because that's our baby.
Yeah, that's right. One of the concepts that I talk a lot about is sort of my own hijacking of a philosophical term. I'm not a formally trained philosopher, so I say in the book, I don't even know if I'm using this word right, but it meant something to me, this idea of the noumena versus the phenomena. The noumen, I talk about, we got to get good at noumenal thinking and getting deeper, like what is actually going on? Do we have the psychological safety in place to ask hard questions? Can we really look at the issue that's driving a potential opportunity or potential challenge? And that takes some skill, and it takes some reassurance. for people to go into that kind of space. But so often I see organizations solving the wrong problem. I think that's been forever in organizational development work and stuff, but that continues to be the challenge. Are we solving the right problem? So I encourage that sort of deeper look at things. And always, I mean, it's so cliche sometimes, but the win-win.
Yes.
Like, really, there's a discipline, there's a courageous discipline around leaders who choose that when they're setting pay scales, when they're setting processes and procedures and programs and change initiatives and all those things, are we really honest to goodness trying for the win-win? Or are we trying to make it sound like a win for somebody that's going to lose bad?
Right.
We're going to spin it in the short term, or we're going to get around it, or we're going to fix it later, or we're going to ignore it. But so many issues, I mean, there's arguably so much, if not all, human conflict can be solved if we're both coming to the table committed to a solution that's mutually beneficial.
Right.
And that can go from some people going on a date to some large, complex corporate organization. Is the win-win the core ethic, or is that not the core ethic?
Right.
And it means some sacrifices sometimes. Sometimes it means that we don't make, sometimes I look around nowadays and we're making 10 gazillion super trillion times X. But what if we made just one step down from that and did the right thing? What would our world be like?
Mm-hmm.
If I, on a smaller scale, could I find a win-win that makes me $99 if I let go of the 100? Just sometimes the smallest sacrifices on that initial bottom line that feels like the tangible result can prevent so much in the way of culture damage, talent loss, the talent exodus, the great resignation, all these things that we know become true experiences for people can be changed really in a powerful, meaningful way.
I mean, you look at CEOs, for instance, like Chad Gono, he's here on LinkedIn all the time. Amazing CEO. He talks about how, it's not about the profits, it's about the people, but he genuinely actually practices what he preaches. Yeah. And he's even talked the numbers and how he pays his people more and they've took less, but they're still making more money, in the long run. And the proof is in the pudding. And, I'm not anti-capitalist by any means, but like there is something to be said about people who are so, money focused, they forget the people, and your profitability would go up if you gave more hoots about your people.
Yeah. Yeah. And those behaviors that are greedy or short-sighted, those are not, that's not Adam Smith. That's not the early capitalist thinkers. That's not their idea of capitalism. Mm-hmm. Being greedy, being Machiavellian, being a saboteur, that's not part of the formula. And sometimes Merlin work is to have open, honest, safe conversations privately with leaders and just say, let's talk it through. No judgment, because I know what you're trying to do. I want to win. I'm with you on seeking the victory.
Right.
And in those epic Merlin terms, I'm about seeing a victory on the battlefield. I'm about seeing a strong kingdom. Mm-hmm. But how do we get there? And sometimes Merlins are just a voice that says, let's be a little slower, a little more thoughtful. Let's be more careful. Let's not overlook even the smallest voice.
Right.
That's going to kill our long-term success. That's going to taint our victory. And again, no judgment. We're not calling people evil or something, but we're having those safe conversations where leaders just get to talk it out and be like, well, but I really want X. Okay, I get it. I feel you. But
however, comma,
let's walk that out a little bit.
Yeah, like see it. And that's like people need to put their egos aside and have ego deaths to know that you don't know it all. None of us do, but each of us have some type of skill set. And this specific one that we're talking about today is ours. And there are other people like us as well. And those people are important. Like I deal with a lot of people in STEM of some kind. And stereotypically, more people are focused on the STEM piece, as opposed to the people part of things. And that's okay. You can be great at that, but just don't forget that you need people like there's managers that can do the peopling and the managers who do the subject matter expert type of things. And there's something to be said about the argument that executives or businesses might make against people like us that, like, well, you know, employees need subject matter expert managers. That's what they need. Mm-hmm. So what would you say in opposing that?
Well, the fun part about IPL is I get to say, of course they do. It's a both and, this is, this is what a balanced system looks like, that we have technical acumen at high levels, that we have business acumen at high levels, that we have, I talk about this a lot in the book, we have competitive energy infusing the organization with a sense of mission and purpose and intent to win and innovate and all those things. Wonderful. But like a yin yang situation, very much, you have to have the cooperative energy. Yep. It has to be in there, that we move in a certain way. I describe it often as like having a car with only a gas pedal. Gas pedals are wonderful. It's how we get anywhere. But imagine cornering or braking or avoiding accidents with no brake pedal.
Right.
And so sometimes there's this feeling that IPLs, that these Merlins are going to come in and be hitting the brake pedal all the time.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm interested in driving well, just like you are. Yes. I'm here to put the brake on, to release energy, to stop energy, to balance energy with you,
to keep it going,
as we both move in this yin yang pattern in a way that promotes, I talk about this a lot, high performance and human flourishing. We're aiming at these both all the time.
Yes. You can't have one without the other, or else eventually something's going to give.
That's right.
And I have some good comments in here. I want to check these out. How do I ensure protection of my own mental health while I work hard to use my empathy to make meaningful change within our union culture, while not foregoing my own mental health? I'm determined to be a change agent, but I am also feeling the gas tank empty much faster than usual.
Yeah. That's a tough place. I feel like, I've been in those places where how do I sustain this empathic energy or this empathic commitment to be the change, to be the light, when I'm not in an environment like that? And, one of the things, we'll have to hit this quickly, but one of the things that's been really helpful to me in maintaining my own energy is the identity piece. And I've found some folks really validated by the book in saying, there's a superpower for me. There's an identity for me that is credible, that is valuable, that does play a part in the story. And sometimes we lose those other characters in our modern telling of stories. We see a Bezos or a Musk, and we're like, dude, super innovation, hyper competitive, super awesome business models. How'd they ever think of it? This is amazing. And it is, but it needs to be balanced. And so if we can hold on to the identity, I think that sometimes helps, that I'm one of these magic workers, and it may not be working. It may take time. People may try to draw my energy, but there can be a narrative around it rather than just I'm being destroyed by the matrix. It can be like, nope, I'm here for a reason. I do a special thing. I am a special thing.
And there's something, and thank you, Joe, for that comment. For your own mental health purposes, I always tell friends, family, clients, everything this, like, boundaries are huge. You have to know when to let go. You have to know, when the fight is worth it. And there's sometimes when you work at certain places, if you've done everything that you can do and you've exhausted all efforts, so it might be a sign you need to go somewhere else. And the superpower that you have, they might not appreciate. Go somewhere where you're appreciated.
That's right. I was talking to somebody the other day that used a great phrase. They said, I had outgrown this organization. And I was like,
right.
There's a maturity, there's an inner confidence, there's a valuation of your own contributions, whether it's, no matter what it is, like you say, to say, the old gambler song, you got to know when to fold them, walk away and run, all those things. That's key wisdom.
Yeah. Ooh, that Krista, tell that to some of your people. that are trying to get jobs. That's a good one. Like they're like, why did you leave why did you leave? Well, great topic. I outgrew that place. I mean, it's better than being like, I hated that place.
Yeah, or all the various ways we say we try to sugarcoat that it didn't work out. There's something empowering, kind of fun about I outgrew it.
Yeah.
Insight to myself, to them, to the universe, maturity in myself, awareness of my gifts and strengths, all that played into it. And as my awareness grew, my expiration date with this company came up.
So. Yeah, I like that so much. Ooh. We're gonna use that later.
Yeah, good stuff.
William, most individuals don't feel comfortable talking to someone with the title of human resource, and issues won't be addressed and will build up. But having someone like an IPL specialist would allow problems to be brought up without the feeling of repercussion. That is a great point.
Yeah, amen. One of the controversial points I make, and again, I have wonderful colleagues in HR. HR is kind of the world that I actually live in. And I also have to say, so often HR is led by performance leaders. And one of the theories I put forward in my book is that historically we have, even accidentally, almost like an evolutionary natural selection that occurs in organizations and institutions and societies over centuries, is that we select winners, not leaders. Winners, they hit the metrics, they're just amazing, they bring home the bacon in every way that you might think of that, and they also get highly promoted into HR roles, and so they bring a different kind of energy. They sometimes align themselves intentionally or unintentionally with power structures, and we get this sort of bad taste in our mouth about HR. And I think IPL can really strengthen the HR position through, I talk about when you're actually doing integral process leadership, it's policy, the right people and the right practices. But it's a whole thing that's like Merlin gets a vote here.
Yeah.
This is real. Things aren't happening without our super empathic foreseers being involved in this, bringing their own special kind of magic. It's not just the HR kind of machine as it's come to exist nowadays. There's this new element that has to be added in. And, there's a couple clients that have made the bold move around that, people don't get fired without the IPL lens. And that's pretty crazy commitment to doing this culture thing well.
Right. Giving people the opportunity to un-F themselves and not to just throwing out the door, giving people a chance. And then letting some people just go because you are going to be part of the reason this place turns toxic. So you must bye.
Yeah, IPL doesn't mean nobody ever gets fired.
Right?
It's just the way it's done. It's much more humane, genuine.
And people like us, I think is another skill set of ours, is we can see the writing on the wall before other people can, especially in terms of people that need to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a talent to be said about that. I can't tell you how many times, even through my life as a child, through school or as an adult and coworkers, people are like, "Oh my God, that person's so great," and I was always like, something ain't right. And every single time, I am right, and it's not because I want to be right. I wish I wasn't right sometimes. Like I'd rather just like you, but I don't, and there's a reason.
That's right. Yeah, I can't share them on a forum like this, but there's some blood curdling stories of we knew something was bad. We knew there was a toxic element, and it proved out to be true. So again, it's a superpower you want on your team. It's not the only superpower you need. It's not the only gift strengths cluster that you need, but people need this thing that's wrapped up in what I talk about as the Merlins, the modern expression of what that is. It's needed. It's missing today. There's some deeper work by people far smarter than I am of just saying that the imbalance in our systems and our organizations is deep and historic, and we need we need approaches that set that balance back, that keeps human performance high, or high performance high, but also brings human flourishing way up.
I guess keep things relevant to literally today, I recently, a trend this week has been a lot of layoffs in the tech industry. And it's just been left and right. I don't know what that's about necessarily. I read different opinions about why that is. But I wondered if there was like, I don't know how to shield people from these things, because you just can't. And like, but there is something to speak to performance leadership. And they weren't, I don't think, thinking about the people when they did this massive hiring on during the great resignation, hired on these bunch of people. Now they're getting rid of a bunch of people, and it's like, did y'all really have people in your forefront through all that? Because I don't think you did.
Yeah. No, that gets at something else that I raise in my book that I call organizational cholesterol.
I love that. Love it.
Which can then produce societal cholesterol. And it's that cumulative effect of decisions that are not human-centric, that reduce human flourishing. Their surprises, their betrayals, their short notice, their deception. Those kind of things create other problems down the road. It lowers trust. It makes people more, gamey and tactical. They start to do, I didn't invent this idea, but they start to do two jobs at work. One job is, kind of trying to focus on the work, but then there's this entire another energy output around trying to play the game and not get hit in the next round, or not be in the spotlight at the wrong time, but to be in the spotlight at the right time. And it becomes political, and as we said, Machiavellian. And that's organizational cholesterol. All this gamey energy because of the lack of trust and psychological safety.
That definitely,
and when it comes to layoffs, I mean, so I get business, but I think we need to challenge ourselves again to make some hard choices, some courageous choices as founders, as CEOs. Some companies have said, we don't do them. We'll take the pain. We'll figure it out. But we're not just using mass layoffs. I mean, again, not that somebody can't be let go or that we don't make changes, but we're not using mass layoffs as some sort of bookkeeping tool.
Right.
Where we don't actually see all the people that go home and then have to tell their families, there's no more dinners. I'm jumping off a cliff, whatever. All these terrible things, because humans are in pain.
Right.
What if we, like some companies, we chose not to do it? We just don't do it. Or in other cases, I bring this up in my book, you are very honest with people at the beginning, the short and tenuous nature of the position that you're getting into. And we say to people, we just have that conscious, intentional conversation. We say to people, hey, this is the kind of thing that comes quick and goes quick. There's high rewards, but you can be gone quick. And our organization is designed, it's aimed at a quarter or two ahead. And that's what we care about. We're kind of playing a competitive game here. And we'd love to have you, but it's a easy come, easy go kind of thing. And we love you. We love your energy, but we might be saying goodbye in a month. And there'll be some hardcore gamers, not literal gamers, but some players that get in there and they're like, I love
challenge accepted. But that
I'll get something else.
Yeah. But that transparency, I'm all about that. It's one of my business core values. That sets you up for success, because if you hold really important stuff like that in, you are setting other people up for failure. And what I try to tell clients all the time with, when we're building values out and stuff like that, you purposely want to weed people out. You want to turn people off of you.
Yep.
Because now you're going to only attract what you want.
Be honest. Yeah. This is a seasonal role. You probably won't hit one of the core team executive leadership roles out of this seasonal work, but sometimes it happens, but it's pretty rare. Those kind of honest statements about how it works, super powerful, much more ethical, and then people can enjoy the process. But I think you'll be big on this. We don't tell people in our mission, vision, values, culture statements we care for people. we're in your corner, whatever, all the different ways we say that, and then do mass layoffs.
Right.
We need to say, we're not really in your corner. We're in this together, and we're a super competitive group that's, all about the next quarter sales. So if you want to play ball like that, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a stable, committed, family type longevity career, we're not it.
Right. Sorry. And it's the way it should be. I don't know why people are not more honest, because everything comes back to relationships, not necessarily. I mean, it is any type of relationship. It always comes down to the same shit. Like men, and I'm using this as an example. If you were just honest with women about your intentions, it would not go so bad for you.
Yeah, even on the interpersonal level, to just say, I'm just I need some company for my weekend trip. Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Right.
Because that's either for me or it's not for me. Yeah.
Right. And then if that turns a woman away, that's fine. Because eventually you're going to get the one that's completely okay with that. And then you don't have to deal with the crazy that comes with the other stuff because you weren't honest from the beginning.
Right.
It's
the honesty. It's the courage to be transparent. And the ethical challenge to say, if I need to be transparent, then am I okay with what will be seen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you are, rock on. If you're not, make some ethical changes. We couldn't possibly tell people the truth because then nobody'd work here. Okay.
Maybe that's
some work to do. Yeah.
Well, here's your sign.
Yeah. No, here the sign is the Great Resignation. Like I posted this somewhere the other day. Like it's the universe, giving the managers your 2 weeks notice. Like that deceptive game is over. People just won't do it. They're too smart. There's too much technology. We're in the information age.
Right.
It's kind of old news, and people aren't so easily hooked, locked in, painted into a corner. People just up and leave. Right. Really, you're going to walk away from money? It's not that much money, to be honest.
Right.
We are going to walk away from that. It's got to be great. In fact, even great money now won't compete with healthy culture. It's just people are tired of it.
Mm-hmm. And now that with these layoffs, someone just was like, they asked me what's your advice, for people that are in these layoffs, and I was just like, honestly, don't have this knee-jerk reaction to just pick the first company that wants to hire you after you've been fired, because you might be in a worse situation than you just got out of.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Care about the culture. And then I did a post recently that was about, you don't have to love your job, but you should at least, have a liking for where you work, because it's going to make your life better.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. And maybe be bold enough to ask specific questions. How do you guys approach layoff situations?
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe somebody will take the cue to be like, hey, I got to be honest, it happens here. Mm-hmm. Like we were talking about earlier, company A. Company B may say, we'd rather die than do that to our people. We'll shut these doors before we do that.
Yeah.
Because we enter a relationship with you that we're winning together. That's what we're trying to do. Oh, okay. That's different.
I mean, there are places, and we know that, I know an example, they cut everyone's pay in half during the COVID, and eventually we will get back. But for right now, when we understand if you need to leave, but this is what we need to do to survive right now. And it was a team effort, and everyone was all right, and for the most part, people stayed, and, everything went back to normal at some point. But, a company chose to make a strategic decision that was very people-based.
That's right.
And it did turn out well for them. Look at that. I mean, the loyalty. I mean, I got goosebumps. The loyalty.
Yeah. Especially when the executives, that upper level, that C-level, EVP level will do it too.
Right.
Just say, we're going to pause everything.
They took 0. Some of the top ones took 0. So
that means a lot.
Yeah. And that speaks a lot to executive as a person and all kinds of other stuff. But back to the comments here, because people were saying things. Yes, organizational cholesterol. As soon as he told that to me a year or 2 ago, I was like, that's genius. Coin that, my friend.
Yeah, it's fun because I always think of the cheeseburger. The cheeseburger doesn't kill you. It's the 10,000 cheeseburgers. And so on management behaviors, it's not the one argument. It's not the snide remark. It's the daily experience of guarding your words, watching your step, walking on eggshells, walking something back, having a conflict, having to file a report, all those little things, those you can just imagine hardening the arteries of an organization's culture. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
It happens.
Mark, when tech companies using economy as an excuse to let people go to keep profits and shares high, it is what it is at this point. Those companies aren't honest when they hire, like we said.
That's right. That's right.
Krista, you have to be at least like it, or you're gonna end up in a terrible work situation. Absolutely. And if you don't like your job, it's time to search. Best time to find jobs when you got a job. We all know that.
Yeah.
But so what wanted to wrap this up with like plugging yourself again, so everyone knows where to find you. You got the I see the website here.
Yeah, I see the ticker. That's great promotion just to be with you today and have these conversations. And I think for some others to pop in on it. It's just more and more realizing the diagnosis is in. Culture matters. The human factor matters. Talent matters. Talent will leave. And who do we want helping us with our talent problems, with our culture opportunities? Who do we want doing that? And I'm saying we're saying we're saying the Merlins, explore what that means. What is that in the ancient times, in the stories that balanced out these things? You want that. You want that collaborative leadership dyad. You need that.
Need, not a want, not just want, need. And The Merlin Advantage is his book. You can find it on Amazon. Krista has the link in the comments as well. Amazing book. Please grab it. It's only $13, and then $5 on Kindle. You can't go wrong. You will only go right. And then there's that. And then follow him on LinkedIn. And again, thank you for being on. I hope you enjoyed it as well. We've been waiting to do this, so I'm glad.
Yes, this is great to get it done. Super fun. Love it. Thank you.
Culture all day, y'all.
That's right.
And I'm going to end it.